Sometimes certain development teams are mostly known for one franchise, and it also goes for Sandlot and Earth Defense Force. They also have done Robot Alchemic Drive though, you know, that one game that in recent times got a bit viral for its voice acting, and the girl that loves bread a lot.
What kind of soup? What's in it?
Bread?
Did you know that Germany has the most different sorts of bread? We really love our bread. There are 3 things that the Earth Defense Force games are known for: being fun as hell, giant bugs, and a terrible frame rate. The Wii game they have made also has 2 of those things. It's fun for the most part, and it also makes me happy that my terrible capture card can only do 30 FPS because this game rarely gets above it anyways, and most of the time it is more like 3 FPS. Also shout out to my shitty HDMI converter that can't even do widescreen for the capture card, so yeah. The oversized bugs are missing though, except if you count giant enemy crabs as bugs. They are kinda bugs from the ocean in a way. Sadly, they do not have a weak point that you can hit for massive damage.
So here's this giant enemy crab, and you attack its weak point for massive damage.
Instead of massive insects trying to take over the world, it's about Ragnarök. The epic battle between Icium and the Jotun. Gods versus monsters, mostly giants who are fighting with Loki together. He kinda was all over the place, having sex with a horse and even giving birth to one. It would be really cool to be able to shapeshift, but I think me and him have different ideas of what cool things can be done with that kind of ability. I would turn myself into a cute woman so all my virgin friends out there can finally lose theirs. I'm nice like that sometimes. And also horses can be pretty hot though, sometimes too. So you can either play as Freya or her brother that she maybe likes a bit too much, because she keeps talking about her Onisama. It doesn't get as incesty as Dragnard 1 sadly. Could have made for a cool plot point because the overall story is just kinda uninteresting. Most of the cutscenes are just the characters standing around while talking about what to do next and things like that, and while the game only released in Japan, you can easily understand it if you have watched a couple of anime before. You will also recognize most of the voice actors if you watched enough anime, because somehow it got an all-star cast with even Miyuki Sawashiro. A game with her in it just can't be bad. I would watch certain instruction videos if she did those, and I normally hate ASMR. It's worth watching every single anime where she got a role in. She voices Brunhilde, and I wish you could pick your partner for every mission so I could always team up with her. Or Kana Ueda, who is doing a great Ojo-sama voice for one of the characters with the perfect laugh. I wish a witch woman would laugh at me and my pathetic life and then do things to me that would render me infertile, so I will never be able to continue my bloodline, even if I wanted to. While the cutscenes are not translated, everything else like the menus are, and the translation was made by Brand Newman, who did a lot of other Japanese exclusive Wii games too, carrying the whole Wii translation scene on his back since he pretty much did all of the interesting titles. So check his channel out and you can easily find pre-patch ISOs for those games on a certain archive, so you don't have to mess with anything, because just like you, I'm too dumb to use Revolution and all that fancy stuff. Or maybe I'm just a dumb one. I love the Wii, and I also sometimes really enjoy waggle controls, and you might think this is one of those games where you waggle and woggle and wiggle like your life depends on it, judging by looking at the footage. Wow, you just swing your sword left and right, cool combat design. That's what some of you might be thinking. But it's deeper than that. Like the abyss that is called my heart after the last time I got rejected. You can't just go crazy like in Wii Sports Tennis for example, you have to at least use 5% of your brain here. In the bottom right, you always have a little picture of your current weapon that is blue, like your beautiful eyes, if they're blue. If they're not, then just imagine the big wide ocean. Whenever you swing, it empties out, and depending on the sword it has to recharge. Big swords often need longer for the next slash, while smaller swords can quickly go again, just like a dick pretty much. It's up to your own taste what you prefer, but that's not all. They have different combos that you can execute. The Swift Sword for example has nothing special going on, you can just quickly swing it a lot into any direction you want. It doesn't do the most damage because of it, but it's fun to just swing it around and it gives your arm a nice little workout. I should have not played this game during summer. But then you pull out another short sword called the Holy Sword that can do a combo that goes like this, left, right, and then you slash upwards to do a little jump forwards with it that does extra damage. Many swords have combos like that where you can swing into specific directions first and then do more damage, or little extra things that you won't be able to do if you just swing left and right all the time. And you can even mess up the swings. If you try to swing when your sword isn't blue like the sky, then the combo gets broken and it tells you by the weapon turning red, like the blood your enemy splatters right onto your face. And there is a lot of blood. You can cut off limbs, heads, cut the giants into two, and I have to say I love violence in video games. In real life, not so much. It's kinda weird how back in the day I saw things nobody should have seen in their life and just shrugged, while nowadays I would hate to see these things. Shouldn't it be the other way around? Maybe it's because nowadays I understand how precious our lives are and can be, and how easy it is for bad people to sadly make those lives come to an end. That does not go for the enemies though, because if someone tries to kill you first, you have the right to kill them back. And cutting them into pieces did not get old to me, unlike most of the other things in the game. If they ever remake this, the thing I would wish for the most would be for the blood to stick to the weapon, character and also the ground. It would give it that extra cool edgy flair. Imagine standing there all alone after a big battle in an ocean of blood. That's just cool, right? Obviously the Wii could have not handled that, and just by seeing some of the footage I have already shown you, you can see the title was not clickbait at all. You would have to look really deep into the library of it to find a game that runs worse than this at times. Because it runs like shit over 50% of the time, and I wouldn't have it any other way. It's just part of the charm when it comes to Sandlot, the developers. You know, it's like the meme with the sexual harassment when it's done by a cute guy and by an ugly guy. Game Freak is the ugly guy here and Sandlot are the attractive ones, kinda like that. It's also to be played with the Wii Mod Plus and it works pretty much flawlessly. The only thing you might have to tinker around with a bit is the camera. Normally it just follows your character around and stays behind it, and I would recommend changing it and making it so that pushing any side of the screen also changes the camera with the cursor. It plays way better like that. But for people who hate motion controls, there's also classic controller support, but I wonder why you would play it that way. Trust me, motion controls aren't always bad. You can either pick the brother or the system, and they do not feel like they play totally different, except that the guy's mostly for swords, spears, hammers and all that, because he has no mana bar, while his sister gets to use magic spells and all the fun things you can do with them. Like a magic wand that most women have. Because they're into the occult and things like that, or something. So a sword with the boy feels the same as using it with the girl. There's no speed or attack damage differences, except that the guy starts with more HP even though he's a twink. I would understand him having more HP from the start if he was buff, but he could pass as a girl with longer hair, so why does he have more HP? One thing that made me sad because of it was that I could not find many fast swords that unlocked for Freya. Most of the ones I unlocked early on were all just for the brother, so I had to use my big slow sword because my little mana sword became more and more useless with her. I like it fast, just like what women told me what I am in bed. The first upgrade I found for it was at level 4. I somehow always picked weapons and unlock everything but the mana sword upgrades. Now you can tell me to get over it and play as the guy, but no. If I can play as a girl, I will play as a girl, despite being a guy. Depending on the mission, you are forced to play him later or sooner anyways, but most of the time you can pick who you prefer. Just look at how many weapons there are though. Every time you feel like you just hit the bottom of the weapon tree, it just unlocks another weapon and another one, over and over. To unlock them you need to use elements or a bit of mana or both. To get them you need to kill specific enemies, like the fire giants drop fire, who could have thought. That's the only thing they drop though, so if you want mana you need to kill giants instead, but for example if you destroy the weapon of them they drop earth elements since they were made from earth, like trees and stuff, really realistic. So you just kinda mindlessly slash your way through hordes of enemies while having fun, till you get to the first point where I did not have fun. The first somewhat real boss battle that makes you maybe wanna whip out some of your hair. If you don't play it on easy. This three-headed monkey just zooms all over the place and eventually you do get his patterns down since he only has like 3 attacks, but he is so tanky that you will slash and hack away at him without killing him. Maybe I used a bad loadout for him or whatever, but I just put the difficulty down to easy and then beat him because in the grand scheme of the world, it doesn't really matter. Bosses are supposed to make you feel satisfied. If I would suddenly lower the difficulty in a game like Ninja Gaiden, I would feel like a loser because you're supposed to grind your teeth out to finally kill a boss that made you angry, but here, they don't make you happy to beat them, even on higher difficulties. The only thing that will make you happy is going back to them with upgraded weapons later to then take them out in 10 seconds. There are also no checkpoints, and while you won't really die on the normal difficulty unless you play like a dummy, you might get close to it and then play like a pussy when it's a long mission. The best example is for the one where the big skeleton mammoth follows you and the game thinks it's really impressive, so it keeps showing you little zoom in sections where it breaks a gate or building, and this goes on for like 30 minutes, just running away from it. Now imagine you do a mistake and boom, you have to do it all over. Easy solution, just don't die, I guess. Every once in a while I contemplate my own life when I get too bored in a video game, because it can't hide my insecurities that I carry with me, since my mind just wanders to it when a game can't distract me enough. And this mission with the Naklufa did that for me. The ship of death that you constantly saw in different missions when it brought new giants and all that, because that's actually its job in the real version too. Carrying everyone to the big fight being commanded by Loki. The fight against it is just not fun. You just lock onto it and shoot and shoot and shoot. If you play as Freya, you also have to run around and find normal enemies to charge your mana back up, since your bows all use up mana, while her bro can use his bow however he wants to, but his bows suck because they need so long to charge, except the fast bow, but that is weak. His sister also has mostly auto aiming ones that help a lot, except if they're this slow. These arrows may do 500 damage whenever they hit, but they can't keep up with the ship. So I actually had to leave the mission and come back with a faster bow, and then it also took a long time, even on easy. And you have to aim with the bow like a real bow, putting the remote back and then let loose, over and over, while sometimes looking around for normal enemies to charge your mana with. And there's 2 of these battles where a giant thing just flies around in the sky and you do nothing else but this. Like in the fight against the giant Midgard serpent that's named after this anime. Normally I don't like women with too many muscles, but the ones in this anime were still fine. Good thing I'm only attracted to women that don't exist anyways. Here that big snake actually looks fairly impressive in the city and all that. Sure, it destroys all the frames possible when it shoots stuff all over the place, and it takes way too long to kill it, but it's something, you know, it's kinda impressive, I don't know. Maybe I'm easily impressed sometimes still by older games. Except that this woman always shows up and cries about how Odin and Thor got killed by it, but we defeat it, so we are stronger than those losers. This fight was fairly close to the end of the game, I have to mention this or else the next part will be like out of order. Eventually the game really just turns into the average drag-on-dragoon experience because it drags on. Yeah, you can hit me for the pun. The game loves to say this is the final fight, this is the decisive battle, every mission has a little description and they often use those words, but there's no end in sight even when it ended after killing Loki. I love fake credits in video games, especially when they get you. Not too many games have them sadly, but if too many had them then it wouldn't be special anymore, right? At this point I would have been happy if the game ended, a decent almost 10-hour experience of going over grassy fields and towns to kill lots of giants with the enemy variety that could rival the local hipster burger place, because they only do around 5 burgers and all of them taste disgusting, but they use some special charcoal to cook them or some shit like that, I don't know. I would rather have Burger King and I'm the biggest Burger King hater in the world. No, I am not American for making that comparison. But then the game actually changes it and introduces undead giants and flying heads that shit on you through their mouths. Because Loki's plan was never to win that fight, but to just kinda die in it to set everything into motion and there's no more hope left. And his boss battle was just as shitty as these heads pooping on you. He's basically like the 3-headed guy I talked about earlier, but can teleport all around the map, and I haven't even really told you how bad it feels like to move around the map sometimes. There's no one button, you always move at the same speed unless you use the dash you use by shaking the nunchuck. And it does not really work most of the time because the nunchuck's motion controls just do not work in any game I ever played if you need to be precise. It works when you just have to shake it in like Sonic and Mario at the Olympic Games, but here you can press left, shake to the left and your character just dashes backwards instead. Don't even get me started on the jump you have on the C button, it does nothing, it's useless, like a console without games. People love making fun of games where your road is blocked by things that could easily be jumped over and climbed over, but here it would totally make sense because these people can't jump for shit. At least you finally get a change of scenery when going to Niflheim with Freya now, to kill some undeads. That's how you say it in German. I listened to an Icelandic person say it their way and was like, yeah, I will mess that up. Even though it's their mythology, kinda. Shouldn't their words be based on the way of saying them? It's like when English-speaking people decided the city of Köln is now called Cologne. We Germans don't suddenly call London something else either. Real places should only have one name and that's it. Everyone says Captain America after all too and not Kapitän Amerika.
Und von Captain America, Glückwunsch!
Here you kill the Queen of Darkness or whatever and think, yeah, that's game over for the giants because no, they can't even respawn as undead, but it continues. while sadly her brother just has to endlessly play the same maps instead of going to new places. You just go back to where you came from, so say hi back to the big bridge. Kinda wanted to include a Gilgamesh joke here, but couldn't think about anything funny. But when you hear about a battle on a big bridge, you have to think of him too, right? Or maybe it's a reference about rehashing the same thing over and over like these maps. Even though I love Gilgamesh, he is one of the best themes after all. I don't mind him showing up in any Final Fantasy. He finally gets to look at something cool when you have to play him in one mission in Asgard, the land of the gods, and I somehow made it worse for me because I only picked melee weapons, even though my spear had some decent range to it. And normally most enemies will eventually get closer so you can hit them, even without using ranged weapons, but here, these two idiots just kept flying around and doing nothing. So all I could do was to wait for the nameless NPCs and Brunhilde to shoot them till they died. I'm pretty sure I could have just quit the mission, picked a bow, and then redo the part before, and that still would have been faster than waiting it out like this, but I'm a stubborn person. You would think the final battle would play in Asgard, right? Wrong. The game actually continues and makes you fight 2 more bosses on mostly just open fields because maybe else the Wii would explode. It exploded already anyway, so why not just make it something super duper cool, something super big that pulls it down to 1 FPS, I wouldn't have even minded that. But they could have just removed this boss from the game and nothing would have changed because he's like the champion of the giants, but you already said that about Loki. And this guy is an even bigger jobber. The final boss though is pretty cool, at least in his first phases. Look at his entrance, then you walk up to him and he looks a bit more lame till you beat him up and then he thinks he wants to become a phoenix for extra coolness points. And sadly here becomes the thing you hate the most in this game, a guy who just zooms all over the place so you have to dash around and around and around for even having a chance to hit him. But the game spawns some followers of Odin for you because everyone else died at this point already. Not like they do much, but hey, at least you're not totally alone, trying to give you some hope. Except for when your old friends randomly get summoned in this part of the fight and they help you out a bit, but they appear at the most boring part of the boss. You just wait for him to open up, shoot him with arrows or melee attacks, whatever you wanna do. He closes his pussy, you kill some enemies to regain mana if you play as Freya, and then rinse and repeat for a solid almost 15 minutes. It made me think I'm doing something wrong in this phase, but there was nothing else to shoot at. And this was on easy mode. I pity these poor souls who have played this mission on medium or normal, whatever you want to call it, for their first time. Why couldn't my friends spawn in the first phase instead of some losers that do kinda nothing? Yes, the game actually does finally end after. I have done it. Normally I would say you have done it, but it's hard to see someone else playing through this game too after you have seen this video. Unless you're a masochist like me. Was it worth it? Well, everything we have fought for ended in tragedy. The whole world ends but gets reborn, yay! So you get a little cutscene where it shows the siblings talking in a modern setting to show that the world may be turned into ours. Wholesome and cute. So in the end we won, fuck you giants. The point of these games is the grind, but it just doesn't have the variety that makes you think you want to grind it out. At least not to me. It's something you have to love in these kind of games, same with the Earth Defense Force games. But in those I can at least play with some friends online and just have fun together. Here the multiplayer is dead and buried. Maybe it also would be different if the Wii had trophies. But then one of them would have been to play through every mission on every difficulty and I would have cried again. I tried one mission on Insane after beating the game and with my current health I got one-shotted. So you would have to grind and grind lots of mana to upgrade your health. Unlike characters in an HP Lovecraft book because they keep losing the HP, since the sanity goes down like crazy and all that. I just want to make a reference because that's what cool people do, right? There's probably only around 500 people in the world I could recommend this game to and most of them would be total EDF sickos who just really enjoy killing big enemies over and over in the same way for hours at end. This time with a Wii mode. Or the classic controller if you got one, but what's the point of playing this game normally? Then it would lose the one thing that makes it stand out. It's like when someone has a cool hat and the people around him can't handle the power of the hat and tell him to take the hat off and now he looks like everyone else. The one thing I'm the most surprised about to find out was that Masafumi Takada did the OST for the game and I'm mostly only familiar with his work for Suda51 or the whole Danganronpa stuff where his music feels really unique to those franchises. Except for when you listen to the Digimon Cyber Slut theme and you think, wait, this is not Danganronpa, listen to it and tell me that's not a theme for Danganronpa and instead he just reused it in a Digimon game. Here the OST isn't bad, but it's just kinda generic for the kind of game it is. It's really epic and all that and it fits, but it does not stand out really. With that said, I hope you enjoyed the video and will have a good day, a good night, or whatever fits your time zone. At least the cover of the game is super cool and the case is black because they wanted to make it stand out since it got a higher age rating than most Nintendo published games, at least in Japan. They even did it for Wii U games in Japan still, like for Xenoblade X. There's your little Xenoblade fun fact for the day. No idea why they did it for Pandora's Tower in the West here though, at least it looks cool. If we ignore the giant USK logo on it, sorry for being German. Now I kinda have to say something for 50 more seconds, so the picture of my copy is not covered in those YouTube things where it shows you another video for you to click on. I don't even care about cutting this one out. So yeah, cool game and all that. A real video game journalist would say now that fans of Earth Defense Force should, or whisk a take at it, but no you shouldn't, unless you love motion controls. Bye bye.